Hi, thanks for tuning in to Mom Boss Chronicles. We are three moms here to talk about life and other fun stuff. If you want to follow us on Instagram, you can check us out at Mom Boss Chronicles, and make sure to subscribe wherever you listen this podcast at to listen to more great content.
Excellent. Today we are going to be tackling the topic of debunking work-life balance. I think the philosophy that a lot of times it gets told about work-life balance is that it's a 50-50, or you're compartmentalizing, your work and your personal life in some capacity, but it's not a reality, right? I don't know, Danielle, how do you kind of perceive work-life balance for you? What does that mean for you in a sense?
Okay, so I do have to say this has changed for me in the last few years since I had my second child. I now have a 2-year-old, and I also have a 7, almost 8-year-old. So since having her, it's shifted a lot. I mean, you're going from having one child to 2, and now you have a baby, so you kind of have to sort of throw yourself into that a little more. But I would say as a whole, I've always kind of been an overworker. Maybe mine is the last, couple of years, and then you throw COVID into that. So it's been like a weird sort of thing. But yeah, I definitely, it's tough. So you want to make sure you're obviously spending time with your kids, your spouse, significant other, whoever that might be. And then, we're working class Americans. So it's that grind, and you're constantly feeling overworked. You have, on top of spending quality time with your loved ones, at least as a woman, generally speaking, we're taking care of the house. We're doing laundry. We're cooking. We're doing
the bills.
Yeah, the bills. The doctor's appointment. Yeah. So it's...
And if a kid is sick.
Mm-hmm. If a kid is... yeah.
Parent.
Oh, yes. Yeah, we've talked about this. The last 2 weeks, my daughter has come down with something, and it's like, all right, I got to get someone on the team to help me do, whatever, an inspection and whatnot. So with kids, it's so hard. I'm sure the moms listening could really, relate to that. I mean, it's this overworked feeling in a lot of ways other than just your job.
Yeah.
And having an overall burnout a lot of the time that maybe a man can't relate to in that way. I think that's sort of, where men and women could clash sometimes. The men, especially, like in my case, my husband, he has a very labor-intensive job, which I can totally sympathize with.
He has to get up early.
Yeah, he's out right now in 95-degree weather. Mm-hmm. That's...
He can't be tired.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Right, yeah. And then there's me who,
has the flexibility.
Yeah, I have the flexibility of my job, so I'm the one who,
it falls
up this, it falls on with the kids, but it's, like I said, it's that burnout in a different way. So when he comes home, I'm ready to hand him the kids, but he's like, hey, I was just out in the heat all day, I want to take a shower and relax, and I get that too. Mm-hmm. So it's the trying to find that balance with everything in life. Mm-hmm. It's not even just work. I'm really seeing now that we have a baby as well.
Yeah. Obviously, even being a mom, right? That balance of your identity and being a mom.
Oh my God, totally.
Yeah.
1,000%. Yeah, that's such a big topic. Mm-hmm. And then even finding time to go on a date night. Mm-hmm. I think we were
relationship.
Yeah, we went out this past weekend, and that was honestly probably the first time in 6 months.
Wow.
It's been a long time.
But was it nice to connect?
It was nice.
Yeah.
Until we ended up getting into a car accident on the way home. But
before that.
Yeah, before that it was nice. But yeah, it's always,
forget like to have alone time with your significant other and it's reconnecting,
Yeah, I found myself saying, I wonder what June is doing right now. He's like, let's not talk. But yeah, so I'm digressing, but that's sort of my take on it. It's challenging for sure.
Yeah.
What about you, Jen?
I remember sitting down before kids, right? And writing down the areas of life you want to focus on. And it was a pie chart of probably 5 things. And it was finance or working out and eating healthy and, work and family and friends or travel. And I remember looking at this pie chart and being okay, what areas do I need to give it 100? What areas am I giving 40? And stressing myself out about it. And then I remember having my first son and looking at the pie chart again and being oh my God, I'm not giving this area my all and feeling so guilty until some point, I don't remember when or how, I remember hearing that, that balanced life is a myth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that like set me free a little, like, because it made me realize I'm in a season,
Yes.
So when I think about it that way, like, yes, there's this goals you have. You want to work out. You want to be a good friend. You want to work hard. You want, to travel. You want to do things. But in this season of my life, what do I need? So I try so hard to give myself that grace
Yeah.
and look at the pie chart that way and be like, I can only pick 3.
Right.
Because honestly, if you do more, you're going to be burnt out. Like, what 3 can I focus on this,
Week.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I try to go by like maybe season. Like this winter, I'm going to focus on these 3 areas. Yeah. And then this summer, I'm going to focus on these 3 areas because it's all, a cycle.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need to just be in mom mode and focus on being, really present for your kids because that's what you
Right.
Sometimes you just work really hard. Your kids are in a good groove, maybe daycare, school, like, so then now you need to focus on that. Sometimes you need to just focus on your relationship, So I try to give myself that grace to know things you have to flow with it.
Right. Because then you're just going to feel bad about
Not getting
everything because you just can't give 100% to everything. It's not possible.
Yeah, totally.
I really like
And when you spread yourself too thin, you're trying to give to, like you said, like you're focusing on a smaller amount of items as opposed to a larger amount. When you're spreading yourself thin, you're doing nobody justice.
Right.
Yeah. Certainly not yourself.
Yeah.
You're driving yourself crazy. You're probably going to end up being sick or, or stressed in such a way that like mentally you're feeling sick,
Yeah.
I think, obviously for us, because we are real estate agents and we're entrepreneurs, like we're doing something that we love. And I think that part of the work-life balance success in a way, or like, giving yourself grace, or is that we do have the opportunities in our lives to really schedule ourselves. Like,
Yeah.
I think too, if you're doing something that you love professionally, that helps, like we're not stuck in this like 9 to 5 grind every day. We're stuck in like maybe like we're up talking to clients at 7:30 a.m., or at 10 o'clock at night. But like then we're able to also show up for, our kids' like t-ball game on time, So like and everything wanes and waxes as like everything kind of goes through. So I love how you're saying like give yourself grace because it's not cut and dry in the capacity. I was reading an article like in Forbes about like debunking, the work-life balance. And, a lot of it really is about like, especially if you're an entrepreneur, it is sometimes like, yeah, you're on vacation, but, you could pick up a phone call on vacation, but you're still with your family. You can give 10 minutes, or if you're at your daughter's like soccer game or something, you can shoot out. Like technology has kind of helped us in that capacity.
So
but,
true. Yeah.
But being able to sit down and say like, okay, well, I'm done at 5. And from 5 to 10, my family has my undivided attention. I mean, it's not like
That doesn't work for us. Yeah.
yeah. And I don't think it works for really anybody, whatever your profession is or whatever you're doing. I think that you can't look at it like that.
And I think it's so hard to be so rigid. When you're rigid is when you stress. If you have some flexibility,
yes,
then
I think that's also the name in the game too, is
right.
flexibility, right? Like you can't like. I think that in all aspects of life, you have to flow.
Yeah,
like water.
Yeah, for sure. I do think for us we have so much flexibility, but like you're saying with technology at the same time, it is so hard for us to unplug.
Yeah.
I know when I go on vacation, I'm bringing my laptop. I still have my phone at all times.
And if you see that text something, you're not ignoring it because it'll stress you out. So you're like, I have to answer or call to figure this out.
And it's just the kind of job where you really can't just disappear in a week. If someone's buying a house and they need you at some point in the process.
You're not selling. You're not selling.
Right. Yeah. So it's hard to unplug, especially, I mean, even at home. I'll find myself laying in bed at 9 o'clock at night and I'm answering these text messages instead of ignoring them and sort of drawing that line and setting that boundary of
For me time.
Yeah, like don't text me. That's just me. I'm sure there's a lot of people that have that hard line, but
I think it depends on like where you're at on that date.
Yeah.
There's definitely times where I'll answer texts at like 10:30 at night.
Right.
Like, whatever, we're just going back and forth. And
Right.
times where I'm burnt out.
Yeah.
Like come 9 o'clock, I'm done.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm responding to you tomorrow's.
I'll leave it unopen. We'll talk
Right.
tomorrow.
Like,
Yeah.
your day, and nothing is so critical. Like, and that's a big thing too. Whatever profession you are in, there's nothing so critical, like, unless you're a surgeon, surgeon, or you're like
Life and death.
like,
Yeah.
you're a professional that, you know, someone's life is in your hands. You know, there's just nothing that is so critical that can't wait for the next day that, like, you should cause yourself or your family some sort of strife, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
I saw recently on Instagram a meme, and it was a mom meme, and it said something like, don't you feel guilty going to the gym, you know, working out, leaving your kids with a sitter? And they wrote, no, I feel guilty when I'm cranky and mean to my kids.
Yeah.
And it's so true. And I feel like for that work-life balance, you have to realize, what do I need right now in this season of my life? Like, I'm going to focus on being a mom, but what else can I do to help me be the best mom? Is that working out? And I know you do a really good job of prioritizing that. Yeah. And that's important for your work-life balance, 100%. Right?
100%.
Yeah.
Dopamine, you know, I need it, because if I'm not feeling good, like and I'm a single mom, I'm not being the best I can be for Michael. And I actually found, because prior to like pandemic, prior to my husband passing away, you know, I was just 100% like, I had a corporate job. I was devoted to that. And then I was devoted to my husband. I was devoted to my son, and I wasn't taking care of myself. I was not really going out with friends as much. And like, I found that since I started focusing more on things that fulfill me too, like, you know, for me, I'm a social person. Like, I like going out with friends for dinner. You know, I like seeing people. I love working out. Like, I found since I've done more for me, I'm a better mom and more for my son.
Yeah. And I love that. So you were in tune.
Yeah.
You're in tune with what you need, because what you need is not what I need. Or I mean, like, we're all different. So like, but I love that you were in tune with that.
Yeah. Social. I like food.
See,
That's great. Yeah.
For me, I get my energy being around, you know, people and, you know, good experiences, and I love creating memories. So for me, that is what fuels me.
Yeah.
Yeah. But some people, maybe they need that personal space. They want to retreat, and like, whatever works, like, you have to figure out what, you know, is important to make you keep going.
Yeah. It's funny that you sort of went on the topic of just being a better mom and whatnot, so, and feeling guilty. So last night, I'm tired, I'm on edge, whatever, and I just felt like I was yelling a lot at my son. So he was sleeping, and at probably 9 o'clock at night, I went into his room and I woke him up. I
love that.
He doesn't even remember, but I woke him up and I hugged him and kissed him, and I was like, I love you so much, because I just felt guilt so guilty. I've not been able to sleep. I had not done that. And I asked him this morning, I was like, do you remember I woke you up? And he didn't remember, and I apologized for, you know, being so on edge and yelling a little too much. And
that happens, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
But do you feel like now that June's getting a little bit older, you've been able to kind of go back to some things that like fulfill you too? Like hitting up the gym more.
Yeah. And I think come the fall, we're, you know, starting a little more with daycare.
Yeah.
So that
give you more time.
Yeah. So it'll give me more time to focus on myself. And yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. And that's like the hard thing too. I mean, listen, the reality is like when you have an infant, you know, like you are having to put items onto the side for a while. Yeah. But like once they get a little bit older and more self-sufficient, like that, you can kind of throttle, you know, back to the place that you were before. And
100%. Yeah. Find yourself again.
Yeah. So that's like part of it too, is like, you know, in the work life or mom life and whatever life balance is, right? It's a season, you know, depending on what's going on in your life at the time, and to give yourself grace and, you know, like, don't compare yourself to what, you know, your friend or your mom or your cousin or whatever down the street is doing, because you have to do what's right for you.
You're in the moment of your life.
Right.
Or at least the picture they're putting out there. Never what it seems.
Not. Yes. Another quote I remember hearing is like, for everything you've missed out on, you've gained something else.
Yeah.
So like the fact that maybe you've been focusing on the momhood, but you've gained that experience, right? You can go back and take that time. So cherish that. Like, and like, so.
Absolutely.
And I try to tell myself that too. And whatever, like, so if I focus on work and I've gained a lot with that, and I maybe have missed out on social, that's okay, because I focus on, you know, going to the next level. But try to look at it that way.
Yeah.
If whatever you missed out on, you've gained with other things that you focused on.
Yeah. And I always try to tell myself they're not always going to be this. You blink your eye and
you can't get it back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I find myself saying that.
Oh, I know you were saying that.
The other day, crying. It's not about daycare. Just because you look at them and you're like,
I know. You just turned 5, so that's a big milestone.
kindergarten in the fall. So, and that's like interesting too. Is like now figuring out, we've had the past 5 years or 4 years rather of like daycare that I've had lots of flexibility, like drop off and pick up, and especially like he can stay there till 6 o'clock at night, which is amazing for a single working mom. But like, going to kindergarten, so like we'll have to adjust, right? Yeah, like there's like the different change, and you kind of have to like
different schedule
roll with it, But I think too, like I feel like we all kind of do this. Like we hustle really hard at work. We're present. We are like 100% committed to our clients. We're committed to our practice, and like building our business and stuff like that. But I think like we hustle hard, and then like at least we take time for ourselves too. Like I know you're going on vacation soon. Like you guys just got back from Puerto Rico. I'm gonna go away next month. Like so, like I'm happy to see that like while we are giving like 110% all the time, we are also still taking care of ourselves.
Oh yeah,
like those like. Especially travel.
Yeah.
I think we're all on the same page about that.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like your kids love it. Like the creating the memories, those are the core memories that they have.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yep. So. I don't know. Any like last bit of advice to share, or like,
I think I just really like what Jen said. It's everything's a season, and try not to stress so much. And you can't give everything 100%, and that's okay.
Yep.
And I would say if there's anything that you're lacking, like, oh, I really want to focus on that, then just give yourself a timeline. Like maybe I can't do that right now. This can't be a focus of mine at this present moment. But in 6 months, when things shift or change, that's going to be my focus. So
Jen has enlightened me.
Thank you. I'm happy. I hope I've inspired others.
I think our keyword for today is grace.
Yes, grace.
Of that.
And, as you guys are listening to this episode out there, like drop comments too. I'd love to hear your thoughts and your philosophies on a work-life balance, or things that have worked for you to kind of feel like you are fulfilling your work life and your mom life and friends and family and all that stuff too.
Yeah, any tips or tricks, we'd love to hear them.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you guys so much, and see you next week.